That's not nice. So I get it now. So anytime we try to bring up John Texter, then things get wonky. Okay, I'll bite. Now, not knowing where we left off, here I'll go back to the beginning. Planeta de Football has 2.7 million followers on the 180 character app. And they're pretty deep when it comes to all of the words and all of the deeds and things like that. So, Planeta de Football is reporting this. You can follow them on Instagram. Like I said, they got 2.7 million followers on the X. So we heard it on the X, and now we're telling you. The funding, and this is their story from 8:35 this morning. So before we got on the air. The funding John Texter secured for Botafogo has sky-high interest rates because his plan is not to pay it back. The $20 million injection is expected to total 50 in the coming months, which we kind of knew. That was the numbers that had been floated out in some manners were up to 50 million US. And it was reported it was only 25 in this go-around. My guess it was two separate tranches of 25. The first one was to pay Atlanta United. Second one is to take care of business with Botafogo. Now, you'll remember this morning with what Jason had mentioned involving John Texter. Botafogo once again taking on high-interest capital to navigate financial pressure to pay back Atlanta for the Almada transfer. Cost of the loans raising internal concern. Plan is to convert the funding into equity, turning investors into shareholders, easing the debt burden, protecting his control of the structure. This will anger Aries and everybody else that's got a piece of the action trying to get paid through what they've loaned him at Eagle Football. So even sources that supported the loan confirm that the interest rates are extremely high. This is not the first time that this has happened. The interest rates with Aries, to give you an example, went as high as 19.4%, if I'm not mistaken. On top of that, Botafogo pledged player sales revenue as collateral. Hey, we can sell these players, and that'll be the collateral up against the loan. Interest rates are sky high, almost unpayable. Texter's strategy is not to pay, but this has nothing to do with defaulting. Funding came from Hutton Capital and GDA Luma. GDA Luma specializes in, quote, toxic assets or debt-laden institutions and has an interest in taking control of the Eagle clubs, Texter's company. In practice, instead of repaying the money with interest, Texter and Botafogo could settle the debt with SAF shares. Investors would become shareholders or even owners of the SAF. Investors behind the funding want to become shareholders and controllers of Eagle, bringing Lyon back into the fold. As the deal progresses, they could negotiate the exit of Aries and Iconic. Remember, Iconic is owed 75 plus interest from the lawsuits going back and forth with England and Miami. Aries invested 3 separate tranches of roughly $500 million. And the interest rates, and there are things that Aries can't touch right now in Brazil. So we have to look at what Aries is, where Aries has invested, we know. What Aries can't touch, we know. And so we've got to keep an eye on that. Eagle shareholders who are battling Texter for control of the company and demanding about $550 million from the American. Loan provides Texter yet another layer of protection because if anyone ousts him from SAF and Botafogo, they'll inherit the debt, which is likely to balloon due to the high interest rates. With the move, Texter effectively becomes an almost non-negotiable part of the solution to the whole saga. And that comes from Pedro Lopez as a part of his work at UOL on the Insta and all the other places. So keep an eye on John Texter. That's the latest there from Planeta de Football. And we'll keep an eye on that. So teams are releasing their other kits. FC Cincinnati's unveiled their Seven Hills kit. Vancouver has launched the Coastal jersey. Dynamo is launching the Mission Control kit. I'm going to click on it and see what that looks like. And photos of the kit, including the explainer graphic, are here. And that looks pretty cool. I like the shades of purple and orange going back against each other. I like that. So the Bring the Hustle campaign for Houston this year. And the Tina Turner kit is amazing that St. Louis City has put out. Let's see. So the DNA kit has been released by FC Dallas. And like I said, everybody's kind of piecing things back and forth and looking at what's going on with all these different elements that are attached. So everybody's releasing their new kits. We'll keep an eye on all of those. RSL has unveiled their primary jersey, the Claret and Cobalt Switchback Kit. Celebrates the Beehive State's legacy of pioneering spirit. So we'll keep an eye on that. And let's see. That I think, okay, yes. And so RSL released that information in both English and Spanish. Okay, so here is the numbers. And like I said, we're right up against it. So we'll kind of briefly get into it, and it'll be a topic that we kind of hang on to as we go forward here. So Eben Novy-Williams, we mentioned the top 10 going through San Diego at 765. Charlotte is number 11. DC is still at 12. Portland at 13. Philadelphia 14. Toronto middle of the pack at 15. Chicago at 16. Remember, they've got a new building coming in at 690. Sporting, St. Louis City, Nashville Red Bulls, Minnesota United, Houston Dynamo, San Jose, just don't mention John Fisher, RSL, Orlando City, the purple team is at 565. Revs are at 560. FC Dallas, 555. And then three that are under 500. Rapids, Vancouver, and CF Montreal. CF Montreal is now last at $430 million. They are now last in the barn. And Miami up to now $1.45 billion with a B. And Atlanta United is number 4 at $1.14 billion, up from 1.12. So that is the rundown of all of that with the numbers that came from our friends at Sportico. Great to have Kurt Badenhausen on this morning to kind of break things down. So, okay, now that's going to do it for about 50 minutes. And we're going to come back at noon, and we're going to break everything down when it comes to the high school game. We're going to have visits from coaches, all the things, and it'll be great to catch up and kind of start our coverage on Wednesdays now in this particular footprint with the Red Clay Soccer Report. And it's going to be every Wednesday at noon during the regular season, and then every day during the playoffs. Not quite an hour unless we can fill to an hour, and we'll just take it and see it where it goes in the 2026 season when it comes to the GHSA. Thanks to all of our guests: Ronan Wynne, Aaron Adams, Lagos Kunga, Kurt Badenhausen. And thanks to all of y'all for dropping by. And I don't know why the signal dropped. That's the second time this week that it has, and I'm not happy about it. So we will continue to roll forward with all this stuff, and we'll take it over again tomorrow. So for all of you that were with us, thanks for surviving all of the dump outs and everything, and we'll be back at it again at 9:05 Eastern tomorrow morning. And once again, hour number 1 will get you ready for everything. Power Hour and hour number 2 with Nino and Nico. Kelly Schultes from the Northern Super League is going to join us at 11 to break down everything from year 1 in women's professional soccer in Canada and get you ready for year number 2. So for everybody here at SDH, mucha platiel, play it safe. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do. We'll see you in a little less than an hour for the high school coverage. And since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Bye.